The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
Well, today is the day. The Midianites have so many men. We might be outnumbered, but let's just see who shows up. Oh, wow. These men really showed up. There's got to be at least 30,000 men. Anyway, I think this armor will do good. The Lord indeed keeps his word.
Gideon, you have too many men. I cannot deliver Midian into their hands, or Israel will boast against me, saying, my own strength has saved me. Now announce to the army, anyone who trembles with fear may turn back and leave Mount Gilead.
Too many men? I guess the Lord knows best. Listen up, O men of Israel. We have a large war against us. We need strong men who are capable. Any one of you who are scared and cannot fight for your fellow men, now is the time to turn back. Wow, that's a blow. But, I mean, we still got 10,000 and God's still on our side, so 10,000 should work.
Gideon, there are still too many men. Take them down to the water, and I will thin them out for you there. If I say, this one shall go with you, he shall go. But if I say, this one shall not go with you, he shall not go.
Too many men? Still? We just had 22,000 left. Anyway, God knows best. Listen up, men of Israel. Let's go down to the water for a drink.
Separate the men. Separate those who lap the water with their tongues as dogs from those who kneel down to drink.
Okay. So we have about 300 of them who are drinking like dogs. Interesting way to consume water. Well, I've seen this before. I guess these are the ones who are going to go bye-bye.
With the 300 men that lap like dogs, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hands. Let all the others go home.
Everyone else go home? Wow. The Lord knows best. Listen up, men of Israel. God has said, with these 300 men, he will save Israel. Everyone else is allowed to go home. Thus saith the Lord.
Last week we started the story of Gideon, a man who was the least of his family. However, God found him in a pit and called him to be a mighty warrior. God also told him that he was going to be the one to save Israel. Now this week we are going to explore and discuss Judges chapter 7 and 8 and learn more about the account of Gideon. Be blessed and enjoy.
All right, welcome back to another episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Thank you all for tuning in and making us your podcast of choice. I don't know why I just said that, trying out new things. So again, as always, please like, share, subscribe, share with a friend, share with a family member. If we've blessed you in any way, share it out, spread the good word. Again, if you're listening on the streaming platform, if I can, if I have found favor in your eyes, in the words of Gideon, can I please ask you to go over to YouTube, take 2 seconds and just hit that like button. And if you also found yourself not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we're trying to grow our podcast. We're still in the works, working on some things, merchandise, website, Patreon. So we got some things cooking up. We're going to try to add some extra layer of value to you guys, our listeners. We really appreciate you guys. Shout out Twigman. Shout out Twigman.
Yeah,
really appreciate it. But yeah, so my thought for this week is, it's quite simple. Probably we've all heard it before, but leave nothing to chance and everything to God. And sometimes that sounds like straightforward, but at the same time, it's saying, guess what? All of your burdens, all of your worries, all of your cares, cast them to God and he'll take care of them. And I'm saying, like, you don't need to worry about certain things. Just give it to God. Just give it to God. Like, don't leave nothing to chance, but give everything to God. Give everything to God. And I personally find that hard sometimes. And it's so crazy because, like, it's sometimes like the biggest things, or some things are like so big, I just don't worry about it. I'm like, give it to God. But it's like the little stuff is what gets me. I don't know about you, Kaz, but it's like the little stuff. I'm like, I know I could get this done. And so, like, I take it all on myself, but I'm like, I should even be giving some of these little things, these little tasks and these little worries to God as well. But I'm like, no, I could get this done. So I take it all on. But it's just interesting. Like, give everything to God is like, give everything to God.
Yeah. The songwriter says, oh, with peace we often forfeit. Oh, with needless pains we bear.
We these people now?
Because we do not carry everything to God in prayer.
Oh boy.
That's a touching. Every time I hear that song, that's such a touching song to me, bro. Oh, what needless pains we bear.
Needless.
It don't say how big or small, it just say it was unneeded. You didn't have to do this. You didn't have to go through this, all because we do not carry everything to God in prayer.
That's something.
Yeah.
That's something. We take it all on even when we don't have to. So, I mean, I just want to encourage you guys out there. Like, again, I know we ended last week talking about, just a question, like when we put ourselves in certain circumstances as Gideon. But again, like, just take a survey of your life. Like, to me, every so often, and some people do it more frequently than others, but every so often it's good to take a survey of your life, right? And just analyze different parts of it. How is my relationship with God? Why am I feeling a certain way? What's causing it? How can I address these concerns? And like, sometimes you're like, okay, what am I worrying about that I'm needlessly worrying about? You know what I'm saying? Like, what burdens am I bearing that I'm needlessly bearing? And give it all to God. He wants it all of it. He wants it all. So yeah, I mean, just be encouraged. We're praying for you guys. Pray for us as well. Like, that's the next thing. Like, how often do you pray for some other people? I know I'm on a tangent. We're gonna get to the episode too, but you just keep in mind, like, actually, like, pray for people, like, earnestly, like, pray for other people. You know what I'm saying? Like pray for your loved one, pray for your friends, because you never know what other people are going through. And as cliche as it sounds, prayer changes things. Like, it really does. And like, I don't know where this is coming from. I guess someone out there needs to hear this. I might even need to hear this, but prayer honestly changes things. So like, just keep that in mind. Like, just pray for people, because you never know. Even some of your best friends, you don't know what they might be going through that they don't even want to burden you with. You know what I'm saying?
But for real, bro, from time to time, I try to develop that habit for real. So like, even celebrities, bro, like, even public figures, even people who I might see their story on the internet, somebody go missing, I shoot up a prayer. Like, especially when somebody send me a donation thing, like they need this or they got this cancer or whatever, like, before I even think about whether I'm able to donate or not, I shooting up that prayer, because I feel like that's even more powerful, whether somebody accept that or not. I go into the person who has the healing powers. The cattle on 1,000 hills belong to him. So, I go into the person who doesn't run out of, I go into the God who does not run out of blessings. So.
And I know personally, I need to get better at praying for people outside of my immediate sphere of influence, like you said, like celebrities or even like country leaders and stuff. Because even when I was growing up, I was like, yo, why y'all praying for like the prime minister right now?
Boy, real talk. I used to be like, bro, what did matter, bro? Like, what sense that make? You know? But boy.
It's like as you get older, as you get more wisdom, you see the importance of these things. So yeah, that's that. So this week we are continuing in Judges 7. We are continuing with the story of the judge Gideon. So as a quick recap, and I'm just merge all the recaps into one. So now we see the story of Judges to this point has been Israel sins, turns away from God. God withdraws his presence for them. They start worshiping the other gods, the Baals, the Ashtaroths. They start, doing everything God told them not to do. They get oppressed by the Midianites, the Amalekites, the people who they left in the land of Canaan. So the other Canaanites in general. And then they cry out for help. They cried out for help. God rose Othniel. They cried out for help. God rose Ehud. They cried out for help. God rose Shamgar. They cried out for help. God rose up Deborah. But again, each time they cried out for help, they found themselves falling back into this cycle of, okay, we'll be good for like 80 years. We'll be good for 40 years. We'll be good for like 12 years, 8 years. And then they slowly get comfortable in their sinning again. They get comfortable being buddy-buddy with the Canaanites again. They start taking on their gods again. Evidently, they stop talking about the works and wonders of God again. And now this next generation, 40 years down the line, 80 years down the line, find themselves in the same cycle where they're, again, crying out for help. So now last episode, we focused on Gideon, the judge Gideon. And we see how he had some, I term it self-esteem issues, how he was from the weakest tribe, weakest clan in the tribe of Manasseh. And he was also the least in that family, but God chose him. God came to him and said, the Lord is with you. You are going to rise up and go and save Israel from the Midianites. Their current oppressors, the Midianites. The Midianites has oppressed them so much that they took all their grain, all their camels, they drove them out of the city, essentially turned them into cave dwellers. And so now the Midianites, so now we see Gideon ask God for several tests to validate that this was God really sending him to defeat Midian. And so that's where we left off, and now we're picking up back up there. So now in Judges 7, we see early the next morning, Jerubbaal, because in last episode, check out last episode, you'll see what they call them, Jerubbaal. So this is Gideon and all his men camped at the spring of Harod. Interesting. The camp Midian was north of them in the valley near the hill of Morah. The Lord said to Gideon, "You have too many men. I cannot deliver Midian into their hands, or Israel would boast against me. My own strength has saved me. Now announce to the army, anyone who trembles with fear may turn back and leave Mount Gilead." There it is.
Wow. Wow, that cuts it down. Cuts it down.
Just for, I guess, everyone's else satisfaction. We were trying, like, Kazi, before we were talking pre-pod, he kept on saying Gilead instead of Gideon. We were like, well, why are you saying Gilead so much? We're like,
yeah.
We found ourselves, and both of us forgot.
I even messed it up on the last episode. Like, I said, I was about to say Gilead instead of Gideon.
But so now we see at this point, 22,000 men left, while 10,000 remained. So now we see, just to paint this picture, the least of the least was able to rise up and gather 22 plus 10, 32,000 men. And this just goes to show, man, like, when God is with you, ain't nothing you can't accomplish.
Bro, you have 32,000, assuming armed men, and that's only from your clan. I'm also assuming. And
I think it's from 3, because remember, he sent it to Naphtali, he sent out to...
yeah, okay.
So I think it's 3 or 4 of them. So, but still, we still got 12 tribes of Israel.
Right. That was interesting to me too, because obviously Manasseh, they getting beat up from these people. You know what I mean? But I feel like it wouldn't matter how much tribes come together because at the end of the day, this was a curse. But bro, you have 32,000 men, and that was not remotely enough to fight against this army.
Before
These guys, yeah, before. I'm talking pre, the angel of the Lord. These guys were terrorizing y'all, bro. Taking away y'all food supply, bro, in every way, you know. And y'all had all of these people, you know, but that just wasn't enough. And that's crazy to me. You feel me?
22,000 men. Like, it's just interesting because sometimes you say these numbers, but I'm like, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people, bro. I ain't gonna lie, dog.
That's a lot of people. Like, that's a lot of people just to come gather together. Like, oh yeah, we're at this point we're trying to go. And see, this is what gets me too. Like, I know this is what gets me. So now someone's saying God's on our side, let's go fight. But none of you 22,000 before, 32,000 before, like 22,000 people left, 32,000 in total. None of you all had the wherewithal to say, let's go to God and really try to plead for the sins and like try to go back and just worship God, like forget Baal. None of y'all had this wherewithal.
Nope.
Because in my mind, I'm like, how much of y'all still serving Baal right even now?
Probably the majority of them.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so what y'all really doing? And you see 22 of them was like, okay, we have an out, we taking this out. So like now to me, is your freedom-
22 of them was like, I could serve my country, but I know we could die.
It's my thing. It's like, so like, what is your freedom worth to you? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is your freedom worth, man? Like they're just like, yeah, we out. We scared of this, we out.
Yeah, but they was scared, bro. They was like, well, I ain't gonna lie, scared, dog. I ain't happy to go outside. We're still live against the big bad bullies who was tormenting us all of this time. No, I am scared. I am scared, bucko. I'm out.
They didn't sign up for this.
No.
They did it to look good.
And it's Gideon? No, bro. I know we could die if we follow in Gideon. I think that's what some people think it. You know what I mean? Gideon of all people? No, bro.
But then don't you also think like it just shows God infinite wisdom?
Yeah.
This crowd is too big because you're gonna say, and like just reinforcing your point, y'all clearly wasn't enough or had the wherewithal to rise up before the angel of the Lord came to Gideon. Y'all clearly wasn't enough. But if I let an army of this size, which already is too small to go against the Midianites,
right?
But I can't let an army this big go because y'all are going to boast.
Bro, exactly. So look at God, right? They walk around the wall for 7 days straight. They blow a trumpet and the wall come crumbling down. It's like they was it the battle? I think it was sometime I'm talking about after Jericho when they was fighting AI. Right. We see a lot of supernatural things happening, but that's the point I'm trying to make. I'm trying to get into specific detail, right?
The sun's standing still.
Sun's standing still. I think the Hornets drive out in another battle, bro. These things are not coincidental. When God was driving them out of Egypt, it was 10 plagues, all supernatural things, right? And he could have just said, hey, I could give all y'all super strength so y'all could defeat, overpower them. But no, that's going to give glory to y'all. And I want it to be painfully obvious that it's not by your hand that you all were rescued, but it was by my hand. That's why I doing supernatural things, because think about it. God could have done a trumpet, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like he could have tell them to go and like get a battering ram or a big piece of wood and try break down the wall or something, but a trumpet, y'all know for a fact this was in y'all,
But then you know what get me to just now? Like the thought just came in my head. Who else would they give the credit to if the majority of these people back to our previous point didn't know God?
Baal.
Themselves, but I going back to like they can't even you can't even give God the credit if you don't even know God.
Right.
So go for it.
No, my bad. But before I forget, God chose Gideon, who is the least of the weakest clan. Bro, I'm choosing the most lowly of servants right now. So just so it's painfully clear that it wasn't because of your might or power, but by God and his spirit. You know, I'm doing everything in the book to show you all how unprepared and unqualified you all are for this battle. And now, right when you all thought you was already unqualified with 32,000 men, God saying, yeah, we cutting that down. We got to get that down because this is problematic for me. You understand this? And in turn, it's going to be problematic for you because from I let y'all win with this 32,000, y'all going to give yourself the glory. And then that can separate y'all from me. Once again, y'all can end up, and this God grace and mercy too, because he like, bro, this going to separate y'all from me. And then y'all can end up right back where y'all started quicker, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just avoid this.
Mm-hmm.
So they cut it down, but I was just like, bro, who counting all of these, man, bro? All right, 1, you go, 2, you go. You know what I mean? Like,
boy, I don't know, man. Like sometimes you see like how in the movies they be like, sir, we have 10,000 men reporting from the tribe of Naphtali. They come and pre-count themselves and just report in. That's just how I see it. Because but then someone's had to count it initially too. So who knows? Who knows? Okay, so what if you think that was a lot? Don't worry, we'll see. But the Lord said to Gideon, there are too many people, there are still too many men. Take them down to the water. I will send them out for you there. If I say this one shall go with you, he shall go. But if I say this one shall not go with you, he shall not go. So Gideon took the men down to the water. There the Lord told them, separate those who lap the water with their tongues as a dog laps from those who kneel down to drink. So now, first of all, even before we continue, who drinks water like that?
I do not know, bro. I was thinking of being a 300 number. I'll tell you that, bro. I'll tell you that. I would have been. They would send me home, bro.
Bro, because I remember when I was small, right? I used to look at dogs drinking. I was like, because first it was just fascinating me that y'all have to eat everything without hands. So y'all gotta put y'all head down and eat. Then y'all gotta put y'all head down and drink. Because eating makes sense because y'all just using your teeth. But I used to be like, how y'all just drink the water and get the water because y'all gotta use your tongue to like scoop it up.
Yep.
Right? I was like, okay. So I started analyzing the dogs. And first of all, it's thinner and they make like this little bowl thing with their tongue and they just like, anyway, it's kind of weird doing this on things. But they scoop the water up. So, but I'm like, for a man to say, okay, I'm gonna do that with my tongue. I just don't see why. Like to me, I'd have been like, okay, like honestly, I don't think I'd have been kneeling down. Just gonna like kneel down, grab a scoop of water, just like try to pour it in my mouth.
That's so complicated, bro. There's a more effective method to drinking water than just getting tongue by tongue, like dipping your tongue in the water.
Pour yourself a cup.
Yeah, bro. But at the end of the day, okay, I ain't gonna tell y'all what to do because ain't nobody going through bottling. They carrying a cup on them. You know what I mean? But I'm just like, bro, why wouldn't you scoop the water with your hand? You know?
Exactly.
But I am rest assured knowing that out of 10,000 men, only 300 drank like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because if it was more, that would have been a problem for me. You feel me? So I can understand. All right, y'all was just the odd ones out of the group that drank like that. I don't know why. You feel me? But
they were inspired by God, I would say, to drink like that.
Man to that.
So 300 men drink from cupped hands, lapping like dogs. All the rest got down on their knees to drink. And so honestly, when I was first reading this back in the day, I was like, okay, yeah, so those 300, they definitely gone. So we at what, 9,700 now?
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, yeah, you getting rid of them because first it said they separating them, and I was like, oh yeah, them dog guys out of here.
They gone. They gone. The Lord said to Gideon, with the 300 men that lapped, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hands. Let all the others go home. So Gideon sent the rest of the Israelites home, but kept the 300 who took over the provisions and the trumpets of the others. Man, oh man. Now we're seeing Gideon, like faith being exemplified to me to a certain extent. Because think about it, man. I amassed an army of 33,000, man. 33,000 men.
That's crazy.
33,000. And now I am left with an army of 300. Not to be confused with the
Sheesh.
movie 300, but
Right.
I'm left with an army of 300 men from 32,000 to 300.
Wow.
That's something.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so now the camp of Midian lay below him in a valley. During the night, the Lord said, Gideon, get up, go down against the camp, because I am going to give it to you in your hands. But the Lord's been through this rodeo before.
Yep.
If you are afraid to attack, go down to the camp with your servant, Purah, and listen to what they are saying. Afterward, you will be encouraged to attack the camp. So he and Purah, his servant, went down to the outpost of the camp. So we see God saying, okay, before you ask me for a test, I'm going to beat you to it.
Yep.
Before you ask me for a test, I'm going to beat you to it. I already put in motion the sign that you might even ask me for this, but I'm going to do you one better.
Mm-hmm.
If you're still scared, go down there and see what they're talking about. Right? And so this is going to be interesting. So the Midianites and the Amalekites and all the other eastern peoples had settled in the valley, thick as locusts.
Mm.
I want someone to Google what a locust swarm looks like,
Boy.
and you will get the picture of what the Bible was trying to paint here. Gotta remember, the biblical writers can only explain what they know. You know what I'm saying? So like when you see them,
exactly.
like when you see them compare to something, like that's the best of their knowledge at that time. Like you can't, you know what I'm saying? So their camels could no more be counted than the sand of the seashore.
And that's crazy. And that's the camels, bro. And it could be 2 people on a camel. You know what I mean? Like, so it was much more people than camels, is my point.
That's just crazy, man. Like their camels, that's a lot of wealth too. I'm just pointing out, that's a lot of money.
I mean, if you going around, wait, think about it, bro. If you killing the camels of the Israelites, you should be in a good position where you don't need camels. You know what I mean? Because you could just steal theirs. Because it ain't like, yeah, like you could just steal theirs, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. So in verse 13 of Judges 7, Gideon arrived just as a man was telling a friend his dream. I had a dream, he was saying. A round loaf of barley bread came tumbling into the Midianite camp. It struck the tent with such force that the tent overturned and collapsed. In Earl's mind, this is a strange dream.
Yes.
You remember bread tumbling tents? They used the whole ephah of bread, 36 pounds probably, to make this roll. Because I don't see how a piece of roll could be that big. But in verse 14, his friend responded, this can be nothing other than the sword of Gideon, son of Joash, the Israelite. God has given the Midianites and the whole camp into his hands.
Now, I don't know how we get that from that, but it's only true. The inspiration of God, for real. Like, obviously, I ain't really do enough research to see what the correlation between barley bread, you know what I mean, and Gideon really is, but that did it. That did it for them. Like that bread rolling into that tent or tumbling that tent into that camp, that was enough for the interpreter to say that God has given you all over to Gideon, to the sword of Gideon, you know?
So just for context, so the loaf of barley, like only the very poor ate barley bread. And so to the Midianites, so that vision kind of meant to them that they would be knocked over by someone who was like least than. Like a barley meal was like only for like cattle and dogs and that kind of stuff.
Because it's very coarse. I'm looking it up now. Like it's very hard to consume because it was so coarse. So humans didn't really eat it for real like that. And
that's why most barley they just turn into alcohol. But yeah, so that's kind of so think about it too. And just even in the context of how Gideon described himself. The least of the least. Wow. So the least of the least was coming to destroy the Midianites. So and this even goes back to like when you start describing the Bible in more context, you start studying the Bible a little bit more. So now you're seeing how these imageries and these visual depictions, how they have more meanings. Because so now think about Gideon hearing this. Because he already thinks of himself as the least of the least. So now a barley loaf, you're like, ooh, that's rough. coming down the hill to knock over their tents. And if you read early in chapter 7, in chapter 7 that we're in, Gideonite was looking down at them in the valley. So Gideon and the Israelites were literally on top of the hill, looking down at them in the valley. So he would have to come down the hill to attack to attack them. So it's like so perfect of an imagery of the dream. And then a next point, if you notice talking as the Midianite now, why are you still there?
I mean, they just revealed that dream. You feel me? He just interpreted that dream.
See,
and it's probably late at night.
Yeah, late at night. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. Because me personally, I'd be like, hold on now. Even if I just interpret this, let me skip down.
But then think about it, bro. Imagine you just a regular soldier having that dream. Ain't nobody listening to you, especially when you know you've been doing this from a long time. And then think about how likely that is, bro. This poor guy with a very skinny army coming to beat us, and we thick as locusts. You know what I mean? Our camels, you can't tell the difference between us and the sun and the seashore, how much camels we have. Come on, bro. Come from around here with that little stupid dream, bro. Some people might not believe that. Like, that would be a hard sell. I think that would be a hard sell. But the person who interpreted that dream and the person who had that dream, they probably very convicted of what's going to happen.
But now we see this is all Gideon needed now. See? He didn't have to ask God for a sign. God sent him the perfect sign, the unquestionable sign that you can't even dispute.
Before you even asked me for the sign, I given you the sign.
Exactly.
Bro, I know how you go.
Exactly. I've been down this road a few times.
I know how Gideon is get. Look how he's get.
Oh, boy. So now in verse 15, when Gideon heard the dream and its interpretation, he bowed down and worshipped. He returned to the camp of Israel and called out, "Get up! The Lord has given the Midianite camp into your hands." Dividing the 300 men into 3 companies, he placed trumpets and empty jars into the hands of all of them with torches inside. "Watch me," he told them. "Follow my lead. When I get to the edge of the camp, do exactly as I do. When I and all who are with me blow our trumpets, then from all around the camp, blow yours and shout out for the Lord and for Gideon." Gideon and the 100 men with him. So I'm assuming that they divided themselves into 100 men, because 100 men was in Gideon and divided themselves into 3.
The 3, yeah.
I would assume each company had 100 men. So, and this company, I guess, would have 101. Math. Anyway, reaching the edge of the camp, at the beginning of the middle watch, just after they were changing the guard, they blew their trumpets and broke their jars that were in their hands. There's any significance behind that? There's a loud noise.
I think they blew their trumpets. I thought I read it and said they blew their trumpets and then they broke the jars as well. Not that the trumpets break the jars.
But yeah, I think something like they blew their trumpets and they broke the jars that were in their hands. So I'm like, you blew the trumpets and you so.
Yeah, I think they do that so that the people didn't see the fire that was in the torches until they just, because you blow the trumpet like that's like showing them it's wartime. You know what I mean? And now I need my light. You feel me? But if you all had see my light coming this whole time, they would have lost the element of surprise. But it could be more than that. I don't know.
Yeah, not 100% sure. I just found it interesting just now, and I didn't research it ahead of time. Go for it.
No, I was just gonna say verse 20.
Okay, yeah, I literally lost my place. I was like, yeah, you had to go for it. Okay.
Yeah, the 3 companies blew the trumpets and smashed the jars, grasping the torches in their hands, in their left hands, and holding in their right hands the trumpets they were to blow. They shouted, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon," while each man held his position around the camp. All the Midianites ran, crying out as they fled. 300 men, Earl. That is crazy. That's only God.
God.
That's only God, because they don't even have a sword on them right now. They got a torch in one hand, a trumpet in the next hand, and a whole army that was like a swarm of locusts ran away crying. Verse 22. When the 300 trumpets sounded, the Lord caused the men throughout the camp to turn on each other with their swords. The army fled to Beth Shittah toward Zerah, as far as the border of Abel Meholah near Tabath. Israelites from Naphtali, Asher, and all Manasseh were called out, and they pursued them. See, now everybody else coming out. They pursued the Midianites. Gideon sent messengers throughout the hill country of Ephraim, saying, "Come down against the Midianites and seize the waters of the Jordan ahead of them as far as Beth Barah." So all the men of Ephraim were called out, and they seized the waters of the Jordan as far as Beth Barah. They captured 2 of the Midianite leaders, Oreb and Zeb. They killed Oreb at the rock of Oreb, okay, and Zeb at the winepress of Zeb. That's disrespectful. They pursued the Midianites and brought the heads of Oreb and Zeb to Gideon, who was by the Jordan. Yeah, bro, by the grace of God, he gave all them over to their he gave the Midianites over into the hands of Gideon. So once again, bro, this following the trend of supernatural things that caused it. It could be the hail, it could be the hornet, it could be the walls crumbling down, it could be people turning on each other, But the Israelites didn't really bro. We don't know the Israelites to be good fighters, bro. Like at all. They might actually be good, but at the end of the day, their saving grace is always God. Which is their secret weapon, their main weapon. And God basically is giving them a freebie. So you can understand it's not by your might. And then think about it, right? After reading through that, I've gotten that the 300 men only scared them, but it take men from multiple tribes to actually kill them. Whereas the 300 men could have killed them, if that was God's will, for sure. But bro, you telling me 32,000 men couldn't have just scared them and not let that get to their head? They probably would have leave and be like, bro, we so big and bad, but they see us and they run away, XYZ. You know what I mean? And that's crazy because once again, y'all really didn't do nothing, bro. Y'all really just gone up there and say for God and for Gideon, and everybody run away and turn on each other. Pandemic
setting. Pandemic. See the times we're living in. Panic setting.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So now in the verse chapter 8. Now the Ephraimites asked Gideon, "Why have you treated us like this? Why didn't you call us when you went to fight Midian and challenge him vigorously?" So now they mad that they weren't invited to the party.
Yeah.
Granted, I called y'all after the fact. Aren't y'all happy y'all got some part of the action?
Exactly.
But you see how he had to talk them down. He answered them, "What have I accomplished compared to you? Aren't the gleanings of Ephraim's grape better than the full grape harvest of Abiezer? God gave Oreb and Zeb, the Midian leaders, into your hands. What was I able to do compared to you?" At this, their resentment against him subsided.
A soft answer turns away wrath, bro. They're ready to beef over something like that.
Like, that's the next thing, man. Like, instead of y'all be happy for the common good, we are no longer under the pressure of the Midianites. Y'all mad because y'all didn't get the full shine. But get this. Y'all also was the ones who finished them off.
Yeah, y'all get the braggable thing. We started, and then we just turn to y'all and say, "Hey, cut them off," and then deal with them. And that's what y'all did. And this is the thing. Y'all captured the 2, and y'all killed them by their monuments. Oreb by the thing of Oreb, Zeb by the winepress of Zeb. You know what I'm saying? Bro, that's y'all, that's a stop. And they love that. Like in the times of war during it, they like to say, "Yeah, we are the heads of this person, XYZ." So what you bro, seriously, what are you complaining about? Because I can see if Gideon had gotten hurt or his men had gotten hurt, and they were saying, "Bro, why y'all didn't just call us, bro?" They saying, "Bro, y'all do this without us? Wow, like fear of missing out type of thing." You know what I mean? Like, bro, we missed out on the action because of y'all. We had to catch it late. But Gideon, bro, come on. First of all, this was our first chance to make a name for ourselves. And you want us to call y'all? No, bro.
Well, my thing is, right? Where was this energy when we sent it to the oppressionists all the time? If y'all wanted the glory, why didn't y'all rise up?
No, that's a good question. Because my thing, because we say in the last chapter, bro, it's like 12 tribes. You understand what I'm saying? It's 12 tribes of y'all. It's 2 kings, I guess, 2 kingdoms against the 12 clans. And y'all should already outnumber them. Theoretically, I don't know if, well, probably not, because y'all had already been enslaved and gone through a lot. You know what I mean? But bro, y'all can't muster up together everybody and say, come together. Obviously, but you can see where Manasseh them was kind of by themselves. You know what I mean? And tell God come around, and they have to rally up some troops and stuff. But now, because you're winning, everyone want to be a part of the winning team. That's a life lesson. Everybody around when you're winning, you know.
Exactly.
And Ephraim, who's known for being mightier, aren't the gleanings, verse 2, aren't the gleanings of Ephraim's grapes better than the full grape harvest?
Full harvest.
You understand what I'm saying? So like the little thing that we have, bro, y'all trying to take this away from us. But it looked like Gideon, he have a way with words. He's a smooth talker. You know what I mean? So he was able to diffuse the situation.
And then the best thing too, like he did, like if you're talking to someone who clearly y'all worried about y'all pride, I'm gonna just stroke your ego, for lack of a better terminology. That's all he did. Stroke their ego.
Because at the end of the day, this ain't that important, bro. What we arguing over for?
That's what I'm saying. Like instead of us being happy that our oppressors are gone, y'all worried about who getting the glory from it.
I'm telling you.
At the end of the day, it's still a moot point because y'all still finish off the kings. So what are we really arguing about?
Exactly.
So Gideon and his 300 men, exhausted, yet kept up the pursuit, came to the Jordan and crossed it. He said to the man of Succoth, "Give my troops some bread. They are worn out. I am still pursuing Zebah and Zalmunna." I want to say Zamunda so bad. I know I still end up saying it, right? But yeah, that's what came to my head as soon as I saw that. Anyway, I'm still pursuing Zebah and Zalmunna.
You almost do it again.
It's right there, man. You don't pronounce words that begin with Z or Z so often. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, not for real.
The kings of Midian. But the officials of Succoth said, "Do you already have the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna in your possession? Why should we give bread to your troops?" Is it me or I just find that statement so idiotic?
That was just, I know I was gonna say mean, but I'm trying to wonder who these people are who you requesting bread of, because like, are they Israelites? If not, why you expect people to be nice to you or to do something for you?
But going back to the history, going back to remember, there were some Israelites who stayed across. Remember, it was like the tribe of Dan. And,
was it Reuben?
And half a tribe of Manasseh.
Half tribe of Manasseh, yeah.
And the Reubenites, I think, too.
Yeah.
So you had like 2.5 tribes who were still on the next side of Jordan. So he might have pulled up to them. This is what I'm thinking. I need to verify this, but that's what I thought he pulled up to. But still,
who wasn't? Yeah. Anyway, my bad.
No, go for it.
No, but I just saying, bro. That's just messed up, bro. These men are famished, right? Y'all can't, like, what's the point, bro? What's the point?
And so, then Gideon replied, "Just for that, when the Lord has given Zebah and Zalmunna into my hand, I will tear your flesh from the desert thorns and briars." So now this guy, who was the least of the least, he talking that talk now. He talking that talk. So now from there, he went up to Peniel. He made the same request of them, but they answered as the same as the man of Succoth. So we said to the man of Peniel, when I return in triumph, I will tear down this tower. I don't know what they have going on the next side of Jordan, but these people, hey, remember those stickers? Where is your heart? Where is your soul? Where is your compassion?
For real, bro. But this is the thing. Sometimes you see when, I ain't gonna lie, sometimes, like, I don't mean to jump the gun, right? But I was reading 1st and 2nd Samuel, and David, when he was in the time of trouble, he had a few men. He had a small army of men, and they had reached out to this man. I can't even remember his name, and they asked him for food, and he was like, "No, I ain't giving you all nothing." You understand what I'm saying? And mind you, this David already had a name for himself. You feel me? And the gentleman's wife turned around and was like, "Yo, hold on. Someone tell the gentleman's wife what her husband had did." And she was like, "No, she gonna cook a bunch of food, send it to David, like, yo, my husband is a fool. Why the fuck his name even mean fool?" You understand what I said? Like, don't kill him. Because David had already promised, bro, I can kill you and your descendants, bro. Straight up. Like, the point I'm trying to make is, bro, sometimes, bro, being nice could save yourself, bro. You doing something to save somebody, and that could really save you.
Mm-hmm.
And here we see where it's like, but these men, like, I just don't understand why they wouldn't do it, besides the point where they might just not be a Hebrew. And they like, if they're a Canaanite, like, why would I help you, period? Ain't you already got these men already? Like, that they might have just been picking sides. You feel me? But at the end of the day, that costs you, or it will cost you.
Mm-hmm.
It pays to do good.
It does. It really does. So in verse 10, now Zebah and Zalmunna were at Karkor with a force of about 15,000 men. Whoa. All that were left of the armies of the eastern peoples, and 120,000 swordsmen had fallen.
Wow.
So this is like a status update.
Yeah.
So all together, there was 135,000 men. 135,000 men. 15,000 are left.
Sheesh.
Yes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so now, crazy. Gideon went up by the route of the nomads east of Nobah and Jogbeha and attacked the unsuspecting army. Zebah and Zalmunna, the two kings of Midian, fled, but he pursued them and captured them, routing their entire army. Gideon, son of Joash, then returned from the battle by the pass of Heres. He caught a young man of Succoth and questioned him, and the young man wrote down for him the names of the 77 officials of Succoth, the elders of the town. Then Gideon came and said to the men of Succoth, "Here are Zebah and Zalmunna, about whom you were taunting me by saying, 'Do you already have the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna in your possession? Why should we give bread to your exhausted men?' And he took the elders of the town and taught the men of Succoth a lesson by punishing them with the desert thorns and briars. He also pulled down the tower of Peniel and killed the men of the town." Yeah, doing research, it doesn't sound like they were actually Israelites. So it sounds like those were people, and they were like, why should we, since Midian was like kind of in control, they were like, why should we help you out? Because it might be a detriment to us if you lose.
Right. So they was like, did you already win? If no, come from around here, because we ain't siding with the opposition. We siding with the people who in power right now. So then costly mistake.
Costly, very costly. Literally cost them their lives, and by extension, the other men in your town lives.
Yep.
Tragic. Then he asked Zebah and Zalmunna, "What kind of men did you kill at Tabor?" "Men like you," they answered, "each one with a bearing of a prince." Gideon replied, "Those were my brothers."
Bro, when I read that, I was like, bro, what type of story? "Those were my brothers, blood brothers."
Bro, I was literally, honestly, like, literally, it's like watching a movie for me. You're like, where all this come from?
Bro, that remind me of when your boy was like, "Luke, I am your father." Like,
that's what hit me. Like, I was like, hold on, because I was reading it, right? I'm like, okay, he must see, like, some people from the village must see die or something.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, this is a random question to ask.
Yeah, cause ain't nothing, ain't no context towards that. Like, ain't nothing to tell us that his brothers was even dead, bro. Like,
That's what I'm saying. Like, it literally came out the blue, like, killed a table. My mom was like, I ain't have a new table. I'm like, okay, I guess the story transitioned in table. I was like, oh, okay, table. And like, I know the mountain named Table someplace around here. Then they say men like you. I'm like, okay, cool. Each one with the bearing of a prince. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Then he said, those were my brothers. I was like, whoa.
And he was like, this here, I'm figuratively speaking, bro, the sons of my own mother.
I was like, dang, that's crazy. I'm like, and again, anything you need the Bible, I'm like, no, this sounds like a little movie plot line right here.
Yeah. So
No,
bro, he had a motive.
This is personal to him.
And that's why he didn't get his bread, but he still pursue Ziba and Salmuna. Like, you know what I mean?
He had a personal vendetta for him.
That's crazy.
He said, as surely as the Lord lives, if you had spared their lives, I will not kill. Like, he literally talking like someone in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, guess what? You know, if you didn't kill them, I wouldn't kill you right now. I'll let you live.
But guess what?
As sure as the Lord live, I will let you live.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? Did you let them live? No, you ain't let them live.
No.
Why you ain't let them live? You ain't let them live. So he said, turning to his oldest son, he said, kill them. His son did not draw his sword.
He wasn't ready.
He was only a boy. He was afraid. I can imagine him. Father, what has gotten into you? I've never seen this side of you before.
Bro, imagine, bro. He's super mad and he still tell his son go kill them, bro. Like I think he might have been trying to teach his son
a lesson, you know.
Yeah, like how to be a warrior. His son wasn't ready.
And now
his
you
son
see,
wasn't ready for that.
Think about it now. Ziba and Zalmunna, they know, they see the writing on the wall and they say, you know what? You don't even like. Pardon my stuttering. You don't even have the audacity to come kill us yourself. They say, no, come do it yourself. As the man, so is his strength. So Gideon stepped forward and say, oh, y'all thought this was a game. Y'all thought this was a game. This ain't no game. He stepped forward and killed them and took the ornaments off their camels' necks. Like, even your camels had ornaments? Like, that's crazy. These rich, fanciful camels.
All right.
So now in verse 22 of chapter 8, the Israelites said to Gideon, rule over us, you, your son, and your grandson, because you have saved us from the hand of Midian. So essentially, they almost like they wanted a king. Like, they wanted to start a kingdom with Gideon. That's how I interpret it. It's like you not only want him, you want the whole family line of succession. That's royalty. That's what that's called.
Yep.
But Gideon said, I will not rule over you, nor will my son. The Lord will rule over you. Perfect response.
Good choice, bro.
Hey, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.
Boy.
And he said to the people, I do have one request, that each of you give me an earring from your share of the plunder. It was the custom of the Israelites to wear gold earrings.
The Ishmaelites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they answered, we'll be glad to give them to you. So they spread out a garment, and each one threw a ring from his plunder onto it. The weight of the gold rings he asked came to 1,700 shekels. And if y'all remember, a shekel is about 43 pounds. So just let that sink in. It's a lot of weight. Not counting the ornaments and the pendants and the purple garments worn by the kings of Midian, or the chains that were on the camels' necks, Gideon made the gold into an ephod, which he placed in Ophrah, his town. The Israelites prostituted themselves by worshiping it there, and it became a snare to Gideon and his family. So, for context again, the ephod is that that's the priestly garment, like that's the chest piece.
Yep.
So you see, he got their gold, and the crazy part about it is, and this is how I'm interpreting it, he just saved them from worshiping Baal and the Ashtaroths, but he, in their place, made them another idol. So what he just saved them from it all became a moot point. And as we see, you want to say something?
No, I mean, yeah, I do, but it just remind me. I heard somebody's synopsis of the Book of Judges, and their thing was that throughout the Book of Judges, and this is important to say now because the judges to come are going to do the same thing. These are not the textbook Bible definition of righteous men. However, these are likely to be the best option that God had to work with. So the things that the judges do are not the things that should be practiced as children of God. We're going to talk about Samson. We're going to talk about the type of life he lived. You understand what I'm saying? We have another judge who offered child sacrifice. You understand what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So it's clear that the judges are at a time when Israel did not know God, did not know the ways of God. But at the end of the day, because Israel is crying out to the Lord is righteous to save Israel because he has heard their cry. And now he's attempting to get them on the right track. And so he used the best leader that was available. But this leader is still corrupted and perverted by the ways of the land and the ways of the Israelites today. You know? And it's similar to what we saw when they came out of Egypt. Aaron, born and raised in Egypt. You understand? When Moses was on top of the hill, 40 days has gone by. They say, man, this man ain't coming back. We ain't know what happened to him. We need a God to attribute our success in leaving Egypt to. We need a God to say, yo, this is who brought us out of Egypt. Completely ignoring the fact that every time God introduces himself, the Most High God, every time he introduces himself, he says, I am the God that brought you out of Egypt. You know, and so we see the same thing with Gideon. He just do all of this for God. He have the wisdom to know I ain't gonna rule you. God can rule you. But at the end of the day, it's certain things that they either been miseducated or they just can't give up when it comes to the way they worship and as it relates to the Most High God.
So now we close now this little part. So in Judges 8, verse 28, thus Midian was subdued before the Israelites and did not rise his head again during Gideon's lifetime. The land had peace for 40 years. So now we see, moving on, they had peace for 40 years after this. Jerubbaal, son of Joash, went back home to live. So Gideon went back home to live. He had 70 10 times 7 sons of his own.
Yeah.
For he had many wives. His concubine, who lived in Shechem, also bore him a son. So he had many wives, and he had one concubine. I mean, he might as well make a wife too.
Yeah. He had many wives.
Yeah, but
this one wasn't his wife.
Yeah.
This was his concubine.
Whose name was
Abimelech.
Who's born Abimelech, who's going to be, he going to have his little time to shine in future episodes. Gideon, son of Joash, died a good old age and was buried in the tomb of his father Joash in Ophrah, one of the Abiezrites, in verse 33. No sooner had Gideon died that the Israelites again prostituted themselves to the Baals. They set up Baal Bereth as their god and did not remember the Lord their God, who had rescued them from the hands of all their enemies on every side. They also failed to show any loyalty to the family of Gideon, in spite of all the good things he had done to them.
Bro, earlier in this book, we would say stuff like, oh, it was probably generations away. They don't understand. They didn't pass it on to their... Bro, this is the same generation, bro. This is the same generation that was around when Gideon was alive. Or maybe the generation beneath. They say as soon as he died, bro.
As soon as he died.
But then guess what? Verse 35, what they say? They also failed to show any loyalty to the family of Jerubbaal. So they name him Jerubbaal because Baal would contend with Gideon. But guess what Baal didn't do? Baal didn't contend with him. The man lived a good life. The Bible makes sure to say he lived a good life, had many wives, die of old age. This Baal character, who y'all was zealous to kill Gideon over, ain't do nothing because they can. And guess what? After Gideon, who was a testament of the power of the Most High God, whom y'all was trying to just make king, y'all ain't honor his family, and y'all also turn away from the power that brought Gideon into this esteem and that helped to rid y'all from the hand of the Midianites. Y'all turn away from that instantly.
So there's a couple of things I want to point out that can go over some people's heads and even my head when I first read this, right? So some things I want to point out. So remember, God, the people of Israel said, we want you to be our king. Like I pointed out earlier, we want you to be our king. He said, no, God will be our king. God will rule over us, right? So who we know in the Bible who had the most wives?
David or
Solomon.
Solomon, yeah, Solomon.
Without a doubt, Solomon this man had like 900 women plus.
Yeah, and then I like 2, 3. Yeah, that's true.
I ain't glorifying this at all, but just come along with me on this journey. Right? Abimelech. When you look at the meaning of the word Abimelech, that means literally, my father is king. Forgive me how I'm going to phrase this, right? This man had a harem, a kingly harem, I might add. He was living the life of a king.
And then, don't remember, all of his brothers look like him and they resemble princes. So he actually also looked like a king too, Gideon.
So I'm saying, like, he said we was going to follow God, but we see what he did right after he said that. He made this luxurious spectacle for the eye. And we see from that very moment, bing, you know what I'm saying? He started to fall. But he might have said with his mouth, yeah, we're going to follow God, but his actions clearly wasn't following God because, plot twist, God don't support you having many wives and concubines.
No, as a matter of fact, in the book of Deuteronomy, they say the king should not have that, nor riches.
Bing. But this man is having a bunch of wives and amassing very much wealth, boasting about it because he's naming your son, my father is king. So I just wanted to point that out so we don't lose fact of that.
Oh, Gideon was conflicted.
Bro, so and it goes for us too. Like, how many times do we say one thing, but are actually completely doing something completely different?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, he had a good life. Yeah, God allowed him to have this good life, but his actions still wasn't following God. And again, it follows the cycle. I mean, I don't think we had this with Deborah per se, but it still goes to follow the cycle of these judges. They start off good, but they start to come down, crashing down heavy when they get full of themselves. Yep. Because they did these good things, they lose sight of God. You know what I'm saying? Like, they lose that sight of God. They forget who it really was who allowed you to get to this point, who gave you your notoriety. Think about it. Last chapter, you was the least of the least. You were the least of the least. A barley loaf crashing into a tent if you must. But now you have over 70 children with wives too numerous to mention, concubines too numerous to mention. But you were so boastful that you named this son. You named your son, my father is king. So the Bible said, okay, we just gonna follow. Make sure we point this out. And the reason why I even point this out too, because someone reading this in the olden days, this would have stood out like a sore thumb to them. You know what I'm saying? Because of the translation going from different languages. Because back in our when we started this podcast, we say all names have meanings. So you're reading some of it, like you imagine you being an Israelite. Abimelech, oh, my father is king. Oh, I'm really seeing the context right there off the bat. So I just wanted to point that out. Sorry if I killed your point, but
no, bro, no. That was pretty good because remember off mic we were saying, boy, Abimelech, but that's such a common name, but it's a lot of Abimelechs. We was joking about that. But it makes sense, bro. It makes sense why Gideon's son and Solomon's son's name was Abimelech. You know what I mean? What's the commonality there? You feel me?
And then to me, it also shows how now the Israelites was so easy for them to go back to Baal right after this. Because it wasn't like you were living in a life that glorified the one true God. And
It's true.
I mean, like skipping it, like Samson, your life, you are our judge. We know the quote unquote responsibilities that you have, but your lifestyle is not living, does not match up with your title. So Gideon, you're our judge right now. You did good things with the army, the 300. God was with y'all. We love you for our 40 years of peace right now. But you yourself aren't following God.
And that's the thing. We could see how the people of Israel, they really was looking for somebody to lean on that wasn't God. So Gideon trying to show you all. So, and that's why it's people in leadership, or if you bear the name Christian, or if you have a ministry, that's why it's important to be devout to God. And it's important for everybody, but it's important as leaders, especially because Gideon was a leader and the people was looking for someone to worship. The people was looking for someone to lead them. And he said the right things, but what he did more damage than what he said. And I was trying to see if I could find a different translation of this, but in verse 27, after they talk about the ephod that he made, it said it became a snare to Gideon and to his family, And so the result of this big thing that you basically had an altar call for the devil with this. That was essentially what you did, bro. You had an altar call for the devil, and all of Israel prostituted themselves in front of this idol, and it cost your family. I don't know what that means exactly, but it became problematic for you and your family because of this, And so
I think it might just mean pride, but keep going.
Yeah, bro. I mean, and I can see why Adventists say, don't wear jewelry. Remember Jacob, when his sons had just finished destroying the people at Shechem, he's like, all right, remove your earrings. We trying to get rid of your idols, remove your earrings. We trying to get back to God. You know what I'm saying? Aaron, tell them, take off your earrings. We can make an idol. Here, Gideon say, take off your earrings, and he essentially make another idol. All I'm saying is this, bro. Like, but it's a sense, bro. Like, leaders, bro. You call to a standard. I ain't gonna say if it's a bigger standard or a different standard or what, but you have to be mindful of how you leading people, bro. Because even all of the good Gideon just do in the name of the Lord, this one thing was the catalyst for them to actually turn away from God. So here it is, right? You saying worship the Most High, worship the Most High, worship the Most High, but then you build this idol, right? It don't come out and say it's an idol. You make it seem like this on behalf of God. This equivalent to when people put up Jesus statues or the statues of Mary and stuff like that, right? And they get to worship in it. So in their mind, you stimulating the thought that we are worshiping this idol. We are worshiping this graven image. We are worshiping this inanimate object. So as soon as you die, they don't have no one to lead them specifically, but they still understand the concept. All right, we worshiping a thing. And so when you die, they're like, what's the most common thing that we can remember? Baal. You're going straight back to Baal, And that's my point about the judges. They leaders, right? But they're not the most righteous of people, They're not the most righteous, but not to put too much emphasis on Baal and the idols, but to shift it to God. It just shows how.
Right before you do that, just remember your point. Just remember your point. My bad. Before you do that, right? So in this last part right here in verse 33, they set up Baal Bereth as their god, and these Baals have different names right now, right? So I just did a quick Google search, like what's the difference between Baal Bereth, right? And Baal Bereth is known as Baal of the Covenant, was the god of the Canaanites. It was a god of Canaanite city, but Baal of the Covenant. And I'm like, what covenant did y'all enter into with this Baal? What covenant? The only covenant y'all as a people entered into was the one true God. So why y'all even disrespecting God even further by calling this your covenant God? But
wow.
Keep going.
Oh, that's crazy.
Turn it back to God. Yeah.
So this is the same thing. This is the same thing as when they made the calf that said this was the God that brought us out of Egypt.
It's almost exactly the same thing they're doing right now.
So here it is. They look for an intercessor. What they call it? What they would consider an intercessor? Someone to represent God. Basically a visual representation of God. But it truly shows God's ability to use anybody or anything. That's the point that I was gonna make. You know, we make the comparison of, you know, God sharing his message through Balaam's donkey. You know, a donkey, that's like such a unlikely thing to have a message or to have a word from God, you know, or to see God and to speak as inspired by God, right? But we look at Gideon, you know, we look at the person. I think about this meme. Remember the meme we mentioned? If you could do all of these things out of a potato, imagine what God could do out of you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we see Gideon from the appearance wise, he appeared to look like that of a prince. To me, that means that he was handsome. But guess what? In terms of what he had accomplished nothing. Opposed to the way he was looked upon, he was looked as nothing. He was looked as the least in terms of being a warrior. You know, in terms of being a leader, his tribe was looked at as the least. So he was a very lowly person, and the Lord used him to be probably the most honorable person in Israel at that time, because he allowed him to, through his leadership, you know, defeat the Midianites. That was through the power of God. And so, you know, if God could do that for somebody so lowly, I don't even know if lowly is the right word, but somebody so, you know, unauthorized or maybe unworthy. I don't even know the proper word. Someone who really just didn't work for that, or unlikely to be that person. You know
unlikely,
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. If he could use the most unlikely person, think about think about each and every one of us. If the worst person for the job, God could use to be the best person, where you fit in. You know, think about that. Because at the end of the day, it ain't about the person. It's about the Most High God. The Lord used Gideon and his 300-man army to strike fear in the Midianites, which led to their capture and defeat. And although he was a judge, the Israelites offered to make Gideon king, but he vowed that he, neither any of his sons, will rule over Israel. And they all obeyed. All except one of his sons. But we'll talk more about Abimelech and the people of Shechem on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.